Hi there and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue volume 18, episode 14 of my Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks scrapbooks. And first I want to start out with Gypsy. Look at how cute she is. You see how she has a little mohawk here? Say hi, monkey. Look how cute. How different does she look though? Is that crazy or what? I love her when she's all furry, but when she gets trimmed down, she's just so damn cute. She's cute either way. I'm biased, I know, but still. So today we're going to continue 2009 with the Unleashed tour, and I had a couple stories for you. And again, I want to preface my stories as I always do, and anything I tell, they're my stories. The people involved I don't name. I have no ill will. I have no ill will, but I mean, I might still have a little feelings and stuff about some of the issues that have, gone on. Just like, when you kind of feel wronged or when you feel like something happened to you and it just didn't feel like fair. And yes, I know life isn't fair and shit happens and people change and stuff like that. So all that's fine. So none of this, again, is any like, that person's bad or evil. And again, if you know who that person is, please, nothing in the comments, no derogatory remarks. And I know none of you would, but just reminding you. So with that in mind, I'm going to start off with oh no, we'll go to that later. So the first thing I have was a really nice article. It's always really nice on that, how I preface everything, from the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. And I want to say this is probably a picture from the Say You Will tour, just kind of how Stevie is dressed with the scarf, but still a nice band picture. And then this was a little flyer of their trek into Australia, I'm pretty sure. I'll see on the back of it in a second here. And this was just a spare ticket I'd gotten like in a lot of tickets from eBay. Just that it was a 2009 show, not a show I attended. But on the back of that, so this article here continues. This is the first part of the article. And this is a bad Xerox copy. I would have liked to have made a better one, but it is indeed for their part. It's from this flyer here. It's them in Australia. And they were in Melbourne, Hunter Valley, wherever that is, Sydney, Perth, and Brisbane. And it looks like it was pretty much through December 1st through the 15th. So, a pretty short stop through there. But yeah, so this continues. This was from, like I said, Pittsburgh, right? And then again, this was a cool pass that I got, which was really neat, considering I only went to one show. It's not something I'd kind of gone out, like, to find, because it's just kind of, I don't know, they kind of went lazy. 2009, I don't want to call it a money grab, but, there's still no Christine. And, it's Unleashed. They had been out, gosh, when 2003, 2004. So, I mean, granted, it's been a while since we've had the hits, because in 2003 and 2004, of course, they were promoting Say You Will. So it makes sense, but still no Chris. And it was kind of an odd time. And of course, when they came back, in 2014, I want to say, and then they had Chris, and then it was all starting up again. So there's that. Pardon my light that's having issues. This is the remainder of the article from this. So it was kind of a neat two-piece like that. Of course, it shows up in the pages, and I can't make it go together. But you know what I mean? As a nice spread like that. So, but when you, good on me. When you do it, is it backwards? It is. Yeah, because I put it this one this way and this one long way. Good job, Anita. Good job. So I'm going to start with San Jose. So San Jose, as if I recall correctly, was the following day after the show in Oakland. I want to say that the show in Oakland was on the 20th. I thought I had something that was telling me that, because when I was thinking about it, I remember being as pissed off as I was at this show, and I'll tell you why. So kind of going back in time and stuff like that, I told a story that I joked about. You guys go find it, but I'll just tell you real quickly. And I think it was for the Say You Will tour, I'm pretty sure. We had been at a show, and we were waiting at the box office trying to get better tickets. And this was my friend and I that I had met, and I've been bringing this person up since about like the Concert for Artists' Rights. So what was that, 2000, before Trouble. So 98, maybe a little bit earlier. Anyway, whatever it was. Yeah, 98, I want to say. And we've been going to Concert Steadfast, and then the incident at Sabobo was happening. And then there was we kind of stayed in touch. We had gone to some TV shows, like I told you, but by this time, we were not getting together and doing concerts anymore. And this person had become affiliated closely with somebody attached to the band Fleetwood Mac. And I'll just leave it at that. And in my personal opinion, the lack of our friendship going any further or maintaining is due to the not just maybe growing out of it like some people do, which is totally fine, but seemingly to me that like, being a friend or being close to somebody who is a fan would be an embarrassment or and again, this is all my internal feelings. And I'm somebody who does shit like that, overanalyzes and stuff, but just, they didn't want somebody, close to them like that it was just kind of like, ew, ick, I'm a fan, I've outgrown that. And I'm attached to somebody here. And, so just, no, you're just a fan. You have no importance here, anything like that. And it goes further as to why I felt like that, because after this incident, and like I said, that happened in 2003, 2004, some girl in the crowd while we were waiting by the box office had a lanyard for Fleetwood Mac, like the fancy, like all access VIP something. And she had gone to get her tickets to some stranger. She'd gone to get her tickets. And when she got her tickets, she opened up the envelope, and inside the envelope were passes, like regular satin passes. And the look of complete disgust on her face, like, what is this shit? Like, it was so beneath her. Like, it was just so, like, ew, because she's got a lanyard kind of thing. And I jokingly said to the lady, well, we'll take them off your hands, and I mentioned in the old video that, I just wanted it for a collectible. You see how I am with all my stuff. I'm not going to try and go somewhere where I'm not invited or something, but, and that person doesn't know that either, but she just looked at us like we were shit on the bottom of her shoe. Like, the passes were totally gross to her, but now we're way grosser. Like, just, piss all the way off. Like, how are you even talking to me? Was this person's attitude? And my friend and I were like, what a bitch. And, just kind of joking like that. So again, fast forward to 2009, I went to Oakland, and I didn't have a ticket, and I was going to play the game of waiting at the box office all day. And part of the reason I went to Oakland is because my friend, who again is attached to this person in Fleetwood Mac, was going to be there, and I hadn't seen her in a while. And so, we had talked, and, she says, give me a call when you get there and stuff. And my husband was like, please don't go to Oakland. He hated when I went to Oakland, and it's the Oakland Arena. It's just kind of a bad part of town, and that has nothing to do with the people. It's just wild over there. It's the Wild West over there. And you're right off the highway, and just, transient, and just all sorts of weird shit happens. And I'm the kind of person who's like, whatever, I'm going to be waiting at the box office. I'm not going to be standing out in some derelict parking lot in my car. I'm going to be where a bunch of other people are, even if it's closed, and so on and so forth. So much against his will, I went anyway, which could be part of the problem, number one, part of what happened. And so finally, I'm calling my friend. It's been, I don't know, maybe a year or two since I'd seen her. And, she had mentioned, we'll try and do lunch. We'll try and do something like that. And I was just really anxious just to see her and see how she's doing. Finally, she comes around and she sees me, and it's like, I don't know, maybe like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I've been there since probably like 10 or something stupid and insane, like her and I used to do ourselves. And when she got there, she's like, I don't have much time, and I'm sorry I couldn't go in and out because, while they're doing sound check and all that other stuff, I can't really be walking around and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, and I don't have time to go do lunch because I went to lunch with them. And that's all she said, them. I don't know if that could have just been, the sound tech people, the band, I don't know, but them is an indication of like, I went out with, and I'm like, okay, not a problem. So great to see you. How are you doing? And we're chit-chatting. And I said, I'm just waiting at the box office. Nothing good has come up, because she knows the game. Her and I would play it together. And so she says, well, actually, since I'm here out with you, I need to go get my tickets. And I'm like, okay. She has a lanyard. I'm like, why would she need tickets? But whatever. But she's wearing a lanyard now. Now she's got the VIP all access kind of lanyard, right? She goes and gets tickets. And I'm not thinking about that story from 2003, 2004. I'm just like, whatever. She goes and gets her tickets. And inside that envelope are passes, satin passes. And I legit tell you that this girl who, her and I've been like this for, 9-10 years at least by this time, just looked at those satin passes just like that girl did to us back in that time. And watching her do that in front of me, because it happened to her and I, but it happened to her and I. Like, if her and I had the passes and some other person was standing there and we did it to them or something like that, it still wouldn't have been okay. But it's just like, it was literally like, and I did say a word. I'm above that. I'm like, I'm not going to say a goddamn word, not a thing. And she just kind of looked at them and looked at me. almost maybe expecting. Maybe she knew the passes were in there. I don't know. I have no idea. But she tucked them back in there, and I'm 99% sure there were tickets plural. I don't really know. There's just, you could tell like in her hand she had some things, and it was definitely one of the passes. But underneath it did appear. But, sometimes you get also the ticket size thing that's the receipt of your ticket. So I don't know, but a person with an all access pass has rights to go do whatever they want. I'm sure there's places in the back room. I actually don't really know because I've never really had that. But I'm just assuming. And I think that they're seating for friends and family. But again, that's just a total assumption. So that's 100% an assumption on my part. So I don't say anything to her, but I'm fuming inside. I'm so livid that somebody would do something like this to me, especially because we've had it done to us. So I've had it done to me twice now. You know what I mean? And it wasn't kind. It was a nice thing to do. And again, could be she just was whatever. She just didn't even think twice about that. Maybe she has no recollection of that story. I think she does. Because how she handled it was precisely the way that other person had done it. So we talk a little bit longer. And like I said, I'm playing it real calm and cool. And she says to me later at some point, I know the game, kind of like, what again would indicate, I digress. If you don't get tickets, give me a call, see what I can do. And I'm like, immediately, no fucking way. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not ever going to owe you anything or ask you for anything like that. Just already because I'm mad. And secondly, because I just wouldn't do that to somebody. If somebody had called me in advance and said, hey, Anita, we have this or that or something, that's a whole different thing. But I'm never going to go somewhere and assume that somebody's going to do something for me. That is absolutely not my style. So I thanked her and appreciated it, but, it was like, whatever, it's fine. I'll figure something else out. And I want to say that by this time I had passed like 7th or 10th row, something like that. So stupid of me, because I was just like, I'll find something better. How childish and stupid, right? So it's getting closer to showtime. It's starting to fill up and stuff, and I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm pissed. I'm hurt and I'm angry. And finally, I'm like, do I just go home? What do I do? Do I just get a seat? Just whatever. And so I'm like, no, I'm going to call her. I'm going to text her and be like, what's up? Hey, if there's anything like that, and so I do. And she finally gets in touch with me. And I said, hey, you said something and I would never take you up on it. But is there anything? Do you know of anything? Do you know, like maybe somebody else has a seat I can buy? Because sometimes the crew or band themselves will reserve seats for friends and family. And if those people don't show up, usually they go back to the box office, and I would know about that because, you would see them there. But, maybe she knows of something. And she says to me, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. Those tickets, they come out of their pockets, the band's pocket. And so that would be like stealing from them. I can't help you with that ticket. I can't help you with the ticket. Okay, sure. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice seeing you. And I went home pissed, just fuming pissed. Now, once again, after her and I had left, before I called her, because that was at least another 3 hours, I'd say, right? And if she maybe said something to somebody and they're like, oh, could you not, this is for you or something like that. How about a quick text? How about a quick phone call saying, I'm so sorry, Anita. Please try really hard for what you can get at the box office because I'm unable to help you. I'm really sorry. Something logical. But not everybody thinks that way. I get it. I appreciate that. But I don't think that that's what it was. I don't think there was any logic. I think it was just to play a game. I think it was a little power trip. And yeah, I guess when I preface this video with like, no hard feelings, no bullshit. It still pisses me off. It's still because I just couldn't believe that somebody that I'd been so close to and gone and done all these shows with had done something like that. And there had been other little things stacking up. And, but that was just really the seal, that was the end of it. So the next day I didn't have a ticket for San Jose either. And I really wanted to take a good friend of mine, another friend, a coworker. We became fast friends. Unfortunately, we've kind of fallen out. We see each other, not in a bad way. Like we just lost touch. She wouldn't have had kids and she's amazing. Forget where she lives, but I just don't see her anymore. And, she was like totally down to go see Fleetwood Mac. So I was hoping to get her and I some good seats, not like maybe, 4th or 5th row, but like 4 seats or something like right off the floor so that she'd have a good view and could really have an experience. But I'm still fuming from the night before. And I don't recall that my friend was going to be at that show the next day. I don't see why she wouldn't have been, but it could be that she had gone back to Southern California. I don't know. But I'm sure shit not going to, is going to do nothing about that. So again, for some reason, only 2 times in my life, even the shows at Vegas where I waited and played the box office game, I've never been as struck out and impossible to get tickets as that 2009 show, ever. Both in Oakland, well, but granted, I did pass up seats in Oakland, but San Jose, nothing was coming up. And I want to say somewhere in the back of my mind, something might have come up that was good, but because there's 2 and it was her and I, it was just a little too expensive for me to get for her or her to contribute to it. So I ended up just getting a seat, and our seat was in BF Egypt for me. For me, petulant little childish me is way too far away, just like so high up, and I was not enjoying myself. And I felt really bad because I made my friend's experience shitty, and I felt awful for that. But I should not have gone. I should not have gone at all. But I did see a show in 2009, and that was the only show. And shortly after that, this is in May 21st, 2009. So pretty much after that, I was already focused and knowing that I was going to be moving to Oregon. So I just know that I focused and just really put all my time in concentrating on packing and getting ready for Oregon, because I was in Oregon of October of 2009. So that's probably just where I put all my energy, packing my stuff and stuff. But that was that story. And it's not juicy gossip or something. It's just like I said, it's my experience, and it was a humbling, maybe. It's not really the right word, because it wasn't like I was somewhere where I needed to be humbled. It was I know there's a right word for it, and I'm always at a loss for words when I don't script or anything like that. But it made me feel like shit, and it made me feel like I was never a friend, that I was just some standby who had shouted, "Hey, I'll take those, if you don't want them," like some asshole just in the wild, and that had been done to me. So that was my experience, and that's what I was telling you guys. So that's what had happened in 2009. So again, here's the ticket for that. And then this article, I've trimmed this article down. I have several copies of it, but this article was from San Jose for the San Jose show. And these are the little pieces from the San Jose Mercury News. So it's the night before the show. This is the little thing, the little, excerpt, coming to town and stuff like that. And then that continues on to this page. And this is where I ought to do better. This magazine had this full page. It's really cool. It's 2 pages, but it folds out kind of like a poster. And it has this huge picture here and this huge thing. And I trimmed it way the hell down, and I don't like it. And this is an old page, and I kind of really want to redo that. And then on the back part of this page is this picture right here, which is a great picture, with I want to say the remainder of this article here. And then this one was a separate that came out 2/28/2009. So I guess it was just kind of a review of Unleashed. There was nothing to review, but the fact that they were getting back together again and going on a tour. So that was that. And really, not really anything like to read to you from here, to be honest with you. Nothing really riveting or funny even, or really nothing even good or bad. Just that, Buckingham with his kids had come off the road doing his solo stuff. So not much of anything. Then I have another article, and it's really discouraging because it was this big, long article, like a full page, like newspaper thing. And I had to cut it down. And one part of it was this whole great thing where it even included the set list for the show. So I was reminded that I heard Storms, which is really cool. And Silver Springs as a closer does kind of linger in my mind as kind of a melancholy kind of, I was probably at ease for about, 10 minutes for however long that song went on. These are just kind of standby. I think this is one of my old, not so clear ones of Lindsay from a show. I'm not entirely sure where this one came from, but I was just kind of trying to fill the space. But so it had this article here, and then at the top or bottom of the page, it had this section here, kind of just like a little review of them. But then unfortunately, it also had this part here, like here's the header, and it's from the Arizona Republic. And then there's this whole strip, but it's like continued from another page. I don't know where that page is. So hopefully I'll find that and, be able to continue it. So this is a separate article. It's all in one page, but does that make sense? Like separate pieces. So this is one part. This is the second part. And then this is the third part of the article. So I'm really hopeful to find it. And then closing will be, well, actually, just the last thing was also just kind of an ad, a regular ad. It's pretty common. I mean, it's not anything really. I think it even might be this. I might have cut this out of one, but I did save it for, the fact that it was for. I think that was going to be. Is that mine? Did I already say that? Is that my show? Yeah, sorry. So that was the ad for my show. No, that was the day before. No, that was it. May 20th. That's right. That's where so it was the day before where I was at Oakland. That's what I was trying to say. So just that little ad. But now to close, this was a really cool piece that I got. I don't remember how I got this, if I ordered it or what. But while Fleetwood Mac is on tour in 2009, Christine is, somewhere in England enjoying her retirement. And there was this really funny article that had come out between her and some guy who I've never heard of called Nasty Nick Bateman. And he was in the show Big Brother, thrown out in the first season, I guess. And he and Christine McVie lived in the same area of, I want to say, was it Kent? No. Somewhere. Anyway. Why you won't tell me that? It just keeps saying village over and over again. I want to say she lived in Kent, though. And anyway, there was a huge problem with the property and such. And Christine was living a very private life. I mean, she did nothing. Them getting this awful, god-awful picture of her, which is terribly sad, was about the most. I even think it mentions that in the article, the most that anybody had gotten of Christine McVie in quite some time. But Christine bought a whole bunch of land. And in doing so, she wanted it to be kept as the land and have no buildings put up on it, no nothing. And she bought the land, and she also bought the land and I guess the house that this guy grew up in, though this guy didn't live here, live in that house for a long time, whereas Christine McVie has lived in that house in that area for all these years. And in buying up the land and stuff like that and keeping people out of it and from destroying it, she put a lot of fences up in the valley, in the fields and such like that, which cut off access for the people that lived in the area to go to the creek, to go to the water. And so a lot of people were pissed off about that and take down the fences. But in reading the article, it had a lot to do with state, for lack of a better, other people involved in it, politics and all sorts of shit. So it wasn't just Christine McVie. Christine McVie wanted to just retain and keep her privacy. That's all she wanted. She didn't want to cut anybody off. She didn't want to do anything, but she thought her best interest was buying the stuff and just, keeping everything nice and neat. No pop-up homes, no housing developments and stuff like that, which she really didn't want happening. And, this guy was just pissed off at her saying, well, no, you're just trying to keep it all for yourself. And it went back and forth. And I guess it got pretty nasty for a long time. I was kind of, when I was putting this together, I was looking it up and I found out that in December 10th, 2024, so almost 2 years to the date, Christine passed away in November 30th, 2022. But December 10th, 2024, the council or whoever it was won, and sure enough, housing went up in that area, exactly what she did not want. And I wonder if that happened partly due to her passing and the land and stuff like that. It was, because I know that she has a nephew and some other stuff. So maybe it's just a decision to get rid of the property and just, have at it. And this jerk probably moved out. There was nothing more about him and what he had to say about it thereafter. But it's just a little interesting article too, a little side piece of Christine's life outside of Fleetwood Mac, and is at the time kind of tabloid fodder. So it's kind of interesting and just, again, a cool other little piece to my collection. So that'll do it for my rant for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. 2009 was just really short, not just because of my experiences, but just I really didn't seem to have that much photos or anything. And I took no pictures at the show. And but 2010 we have the Grammys and we have some stuff leading up to In Your Dreams. So I'm going to have a lot more coming up pretty soon. So stick with me. I think I will make volume 18 go. It's getting kind of full. I think I'll maybe make it go. Maybe it can stand through In Your Dreams, 2011. So I think we'll stick with that. So come back tomorrow. There's more. I hope you enjoyed Gypsy's before and after photo. And thank you so much for listening. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.